Hi, I'm Dave, and in September of 2025, I walked the Camino de Santiago. I walked specifically the Camino Portugués from Porto, Portugal, all the way to Santiago de Compostela, Galicia, Spain. I walked for 2 weeks in September on the littoral route and then the coastal route, and then I cut across to the central route. Check out my channel if you want to see the 14 episode series of my Camino, where I vlog the adventure, and check out my channel if you want to see more travel and outdoorsy content. Now let's talk about the 10 tips that I found useful on my Camino. You probably found this video because you're researching for your Camino. I did the same thing. So I'm going to give you 10 tips that I found to be pretty useful for me for this time of year and on this particular Camino. And I'm going to be splicing in some video from my Camino in this to kind of spice it up. Tip 1. Protect your feet and your body. Your body, and specifically your feet, are going to get you through on your journey. Do whatever you can to prevent blisters. Listen to your body. Take breaks and stretch. Sit down on a bench, take off your pack, your shoes, and if you're like me, your socks. Having dry feet, socks, and shoes does help prevent blisters. My new favorite thing is just dangling my bare feet next to the ocean. You gotta take your shoes off, like on your breaks for sure. Like, you gotta dry them out. You don't want your feet getting too wet because then it can cause blisters. And it's just nice, man. Bare feet by the ocean. If you feel some friction or a hot spot, put on a blister pad or add some hiker cream to reduce friction. Before you come, you should train. Train by walking outside wearing the gear that you're gonna bring, and the weight of your pack should be similar to what you're gonna carry. By wearing that gear and using that gear ahead of time, you'll kind of figure out if it does give you hot spots or if it is kind of appropriate for your trip. It's vital that you break in your shoes before you start your Camino. One thing I would suggest is at night, or even during the day, whenever you feel comfortable, I would suggest doing some stretching. I would every night do stretching before I went to bed for my legs, things that help stretch out and loosen some of my body so that the next day I'd wake up and feel refreshed. And the last thing I'll say about this is listen to your body, because new throbs and hot spots and pains, they don't typically get better if you ignore them. So stop, take a break, let your muscles rest, hydrate, and stretch when you can. Tip number 2, stay hydrated. I think some people are worried that if they drink too much water, they'll have to use the bathroom a lot while they're out there on the Camino, and that they may struggle to find a bathroom. That's not the case in my experience. When I was out there, whenever I had to go to the bathroom, there was always one available. Sometimes it would be, a public bathroom along the beach. Other times it would be in a cafe or a shop, supermercado. There's always a place where you can kind of go to the bathroom. Sometimes you might have to go into a cafe and get a coffee or a water or a pastel de nata. But I mean, who doesn't love those things anyway? But again, I never really struggled to find a bathroom, and it's very important to stay hydrated because your muscles, your body, it needs that water because it can get very hot in the Portuguese and the Spanish sun. You could get heat exhaustion or overheated. I mean, that happens out there when you're walking along the beach with that really strong sun. So definitely stay hydrated, find some shade, wear some clothes that give you some shade, like a hat. To go along with this, there are a lot of water fountains I found along the way, and I would fill up my water. I definitely drank the tap water there. I asked the locals, they said the water is great, it's the best. And I never had an issue drinking the water from the tap. And they do have public water fountains. Just be sure that they are potable water. If it says not potable, do not drink it. That water is for, kind of like use around the house, like, for washing floors and washing laundry, whatever, but you don't want to drink that stuff. And they're very good about labeling the fountains that have potable water or not potable water. Here, I'll cut away to the Dave that checked that out. Agua potable. Tip number 3, talk to your fellow pilgrims. I'll have Camino Dave tell you about why that's important So maybe you're not great at talking to random strangers. I'm good sometimes, other times I'm more introverted, but when I'm out here, when I'm in Europe, when I'm abroad, I feel like that's the time to be extroverted. So I just say hello, hola, and then ask them what their name is and where they're from. Those two questions can open up the door for potentially like a lifelong friendship or relationship of some sort that like could be incredibly meaningful. And I've never really, unless they don't speak English at all, or my poor French or poor Spanish isn't sufficient, that people, they typically will respond and open up and talk. People like to talk about themselves, ask them questions about themselves. So if you ask them questions, they will usually reply, and then you can have a conversation. Tip number 4, only take what you need in your backpack. It's kind of a common thing for people to say that your backpack should weigh under 10% of your body weight. If you bring something and you aren't using it, it's just more weight on your back, on your hips, on your knees, on your feet. Donate whatever you don't need to another pilgrim or to an albergue, a hostel, or mail it home. If it's not something that you think you'll use, you should let it go. You really don't need a lot, and you can always buy something along the way. Your pack will get lighter as your body gets used to it and you use the stuff inside. My pack weighed about 13 pounds, and it was a 35-liter pack, and after 3 days, I didn't even notice the weight of it anymore. Tip number 5, consider booking ahead so you don't get stuck walking to an accommodation that is already full. The end of the day is kind of a hard time and stressful time to have to be trying to find a room. Some of these small towns don't have a lot of options for accommodations, so if you show up end of the day, try to find a place, they're all full, you may end up having to walk to the next town. And if it's a rainy day or you're just super tired, that's a lot of effort and stress and work. Consider booking ahead, and here's Camino Dave explaining how I do it. So I booked my accommodations ahead of time, like a month or two ago, and I made sure that all of them you could have free cancellation, which gives you like, I don't know, maybe like 4 days before you're supposed to go, where you could still cancel it. It's like a window. I think I mentioned this before, but like the other day I saw somebody walking this way, backwards, and she had said that she went to Tui and all the rooms were booked up. There was nowhere to stay. And then she had to go back like 4 kilometers or so after she had walked all the way there to go find a place to stay. So I like the idea of being able to adapt your schedule and be more spontaneous. But for me, I didn't want to, I've seen other people too, when they show up to a hostel and they're full and they're like, oh, they're downtrodden and they can't find a place. I didn't want to have that stress be a distraction for me. So I booked ahead of time with free cancellation on the places I stayed. So it's just, I mean, I used to do it that way. I used to just kind of be spontaneous and just, you know, find a place. But I think the older I got, the more the stress of that seemed less alluring. That being said, if I had hurt myself or needed a 0 day, I would have had to change and cancel all of those reservations. But knock on wood, I've been okay. Tip number 6. Remember, it's not a race. Santiago de Compostela is not going anywhere, and there will always be pilgrims in front of you. There will always be pilgrims behind you. So choose a pace that works for you. Consider starting the day earlier in the cooler mornings and take lots of breaks. Your body is what's going to get you through to the end of the journey, so you don't want to rush and overexert yourself. Enjoy your walk. Sit down at a cafe or two. Sit on a bench, admire a view. Put down your pack and rest your feet. Meditate and ask yourself some questions. Why are you doing this? What are your goals with this journey? Take a few pictures, or maybe just check out like a local site. You can even leave the Camino and just check out some local sites. It's perfectly fine. Maybe there's a market you want to see, or a church, or some sort of event that's happening. Go on a side quest off trail. Just stop and listen to the birds, the wind, the creeks. Drink it all in. It's not a race. And here's Camino Dave to tell you more about that. Take breaks. Honestly, there's no rush. This is not a race, because there will always be pilgrims in front of you. There will always be pilgrims behind you. You never know who's going to change your life and who you're going to meet and what your experience will be. So just embrace your own speed. And I think I've been with people, and then I've told them, like, oh no, go ahead, you know, like, continue, I don't want to slow you down. And they go, and I don't feel bad about it. In fact, I feel good about it. Like, I get to go my own pace. Tip number 7, help out your fellow pilgrims. Even if you're solo, you will soon realize that you are traveling with a community of people, and if you show someone kindness, it very well may be paid back to you, especially when you really need it. Take someone's picture for them. Ask them if they need anything. Share a laundry machine. Buy someone a coffee. Offer a Band-Aid or sunscreen, or, you know, just offer some advice. My favorite part of the Camino was the community of people that I got to know and that I got to have a mutual shared experience with. And I think if you talk to your fellow pilgrims, you'll learn so many things. And it's having that network not only provides you kind of like safety, advice, and just community, but it also just, I don't know, for me, it was the most important part of the trip. Maybe it will be for you. Tip number 8, be kind to the locals and try to learn some of the local language. It's just a courteous thing to do to learn some basics. Hello, goodbye, yes, no, where's the bathroom, can I get the check, please, and thank you. These types of words you should learn if the language of this country you're in is not a native language for you. Sure, English does work a lot of the times, but you're in somebody else's country, so whenever you can, use some Portuguese, use some Spanish. It's just a courteous thing to do. It's often the local support that helps you out when you need it the most. That being said, I found the locals in Portugal and Spain to be friendly, kind, and just some of the most generous people I've ever met in my entire life. Honestly, I kind of expected to meet some people that were kind of tired of just seeing pilgrims running around all over their small towns and their country, but I did not experience this at all. The locals were often the ones that were wishing me a bom Camino when I was in Portugal, or a buen Camino when I was in Spain, and I think that it will benefit anybody to be kind, to use some of the local language, and, you know, obviously don't litter or anything like that. This is their country, you're a visitor, and I think it'll go a long way. Number 9, download and familiarize yourself with the Camino apps that you will use before you come. This is not a sponsor, but I use the Camino Ninja app. There's also the Wise Pilgrim app. There's other apps, but I use the Camino Ninja app every day, and that helped me with like distances, towns, the sizes of the towns, what services and accommodations were in the towns. It helped me plan my stages of my Camino, and it was honestly very useful. Honestly, it was like the thing I used every day. And if I found I had wandered off the Camino, it would be able to navigate me right back onto it. So it's got that line that you can find that follows the Camino, and you can just get yourself right back to where you need to be to find those little markers that tell you the way. And to go along with that, it seems like they were updating the maps all the time, because the route does change as infrastructure changes, as, you know, major roads get diverted and stuff like that, just normal construction. That's the type of stuff that could move the Camino, the trail. So it would update pretty often, and I found it to be very accurate and very useful. Between the Camino Ninja app and Google Maps, I use both those every day when I needed to find the Camino or to find my accommodation once I got to the town. Number 10, keep an open mind and an open heart. I'll have Camino Dave explain this one. One of my biggest suggestions with doing a Camino or a trip like this is to be open-minded. If you're open-minded, the possibilities really, they can come towards you. You can attract the people that you're supposed to meet you'll learn more about something, about a culture. Just be open-minded. Don't fight it. You know, you'll find cultural differences for sure. But often I find some that I think, ooh, it's super pretty here. Look at that tree. I learn some amazing things from some of these people about how their countries run, or how they do things, or how they live their life. So get a new perspective, be open-minded, get out there and travel. Okay, that was 10 Camino tips that helped me out, and I bet some of you could benefit from some of these things. And to go along with that, I'm going to give you a bonus tip, because you're great, and I think you're awesome, and I want you to have all the information you have before you go on your trip. Bonus tip is going to be, they say that the Camino provides, and that there's a Camino magic. These are kind of things that happen, like serendipitous things, where you find a Camino marker like just when you needed it. Or maybe it starts to downpour rain and then like a big tree or a little overhang shows up so you can stay dry. Or maybe a local gives you some fresh vegetables or fruit, or, you know, just kind of helps you on your way. These are the little moments where something or someone swoops in to help you out right when you need it. That's the Camino magic. There's something to that Camino magic. It's out there, and if you go on your Camino, I hope you find it as well. So that's it from me. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you want, and buen Camino.